my friends, welcome to my country farmhouse studio. I'm Arne, and today is the first episode of the Tilda hometown hen house quilt I am recreating. So I have been in my sewing studio all day today, and I have been a busy girl trying to cut up fabrics to get ready to show this. And I want to take you through on how to build the first hen house and the first Tilda. This requires a lot of small pieces, and I had told you about how to letter each piece as we go along. Now this here, I have cut up the pieces for all 9 hen houses because these are the roofs and the windows and the chickens for the hen house. I have individually cut up the first set of the barn boards for my Tilda hen house, and I will cut these individually as I go along. So I'm really excited to make the first hen house. Also, I have been busy cutting up pieces for the first Tilda girl, and I have tried to cut up the backgrounds times 9 to whatever I need for the first girl, and then I've got the hair cut up, all the chickens, and some of the dress, the faces and the hands. And the dress parts, I have them prepared, but I'm going to walk you through on them a little bit more in detail when I get to them. So I've got them all ready to go. And I probably should try to keep everything neat here. And also have my sleeve. So you can see I put all these little sticky letters on them. So when you get into your directions, as you see, let me get this ready here. When you get to your pieces here, it has these diagram, and all of your pieces are lettered, and they are done in sections. So what I have done for each section is cut out the pieces, and I have put letters in each pile for which piece they are. So I know that all of the rooftops are the light gray, the windows and the door are the tan with the chicken wire, the chickens are black and white, and my beaks are the mustard. And then all of the barn board in the hen houses are all labeled individually as well for the first one. And a lot of my background pieces I have cut up for the girls. So you might want to follow your directions and cut your pieces as precisely as you can. If you have some best press, that is a good thing to use because it helps to make your fabric pieces a little more crisp, and they'll sew together much nicer without getting kind of wonkered out or stretched. When you be careful when you sew them through. And we'll probably want to best press them after we sew our pieces together as well. So I'm just trying to give you some pointers to make this a little bit easier to put it together. I'm really excited to do this. As a lot of you know, I had created this quilt 2 years ago, and I lost it in my house fire last year, in case you're new. And I am recreating this quilt to build back better. This one I'm really excited about because I'm doing it totally different from the last time, even though I have all the experience of building it before. I love this quilt and never got to show it or even cover up with it, so it's kind of crazy. So I'm really excited. I'm going to take you over to my machine, and the first thing we're going to do is build the hen house, and then we'll go into one of the Tilda girls, so I can kind of give you a feel of how to put your pieces together. This is really exciting. So I'm going to take you over to my sewing machine, and we'll get started. Okay, I hope we have a good view here. I'm going to jump right into this. And something I forgot to mention, if you're cutting up pieces that have direction, and you can see that my barn boards are all directional, and I wanted them all going straight up and down. So if you're using anything that's directional, you want to be careful to cut them so they all are going to run the same way. So follow your picture and kind of imagine how you want your, if you're using barn board or a directional fabric, how you want it to go, because you want everything to kind of look like it flows together instead of having them, like a farmer's built hen house. I want them all to be straight up and down. So I just want to kind of point that out. So let me grab my picture. Okay, I need my page here because I'm going to follow along like with the picture, and the directions has step by step on how to build together, but I've done this before, so I'm just going to kind of go by the picture. I know I've told a lot of you I'm a visionist, and I can look at something and put it together. So if you're new at doing anything like this, you might want to stick to your directions and follow them precisely. And Tilly, God, that toy. All right, so the A piece, this is the A piece for the roof. I'm gonna put that right there on top, as I know that's gonna go. I need 2 B pieces, and I'm going to get them ready. And these are gonna go on either side right here. And I'm just gonna kind of lay this out on my sewing machine so I know what I'm going to need. And then I have a C piece, and there's only one of these, and this comes across the top here because it's gonna be the peak on the roof. I'm just gonna set my C off because I'll use those letters again when I cut up the next color of barn boards for my next hen house. And then I have 2 Ds, and your Bs and your Ds are the same size, but I have them in individual piles. So I know I have the right amount for each. Tilly and his toy. Tilly. He has playtime out here, and he gets really excited. And every time I am talking or filming, he has to squeak his toy. It's just something that he does. Okay, so these are gonna go, these are gonna be like the flip and stitch on here because we are gonna make a peak. And I'm gonna kind of lay my first square on the left-hand side of the corner of my barn board. Hey guys, my dogs are like having 2 toddlers in here. And I'm just gonna kind of fold this in half diagonally, if you can kind of see this. So it's gonna, I usually make a crease line. You can draw a line from corner to corner, and I'm sure that's what the directions are gonna tell you to do. But I cheated this a little bit. So I am just gonna make a press line and fold it in half from corner to corner. And they call this the stitch and flip, and most of you know what it's like. And I'm going to put one of these in each corner so that you're gonna make a little peak for the front part of your roof. And I'm gonna do that first, and then I'm gonna sew on these 2 side pieces, and then I will sew on this top piece, and that will be the start of my roof. So I'm gonna get right on it. I'm not gonna draw a line because I'm not really much of a line drawer, but get my thread ready here. And I'm just gonna kind of sew this across. Now, if you draw the line from corner to corner, you kind of want to sew, you want your needle to fall right beside your line. That will give you a little room, so when you flip it up and you flip it back, your edges should line up in the corner. And maybe I should draw lines because I feel like my sewing is a little bit off. But that's how you want it to look. So you got that flip and stitch in the corner there. And I'm just gonna go back over this because I am not very straight. So you might want to leave yourself some room for mistakes. Okay, that lays better. See, I just had my sewing kind of curved out a little bit, so I went back and made it just a little bit straighter, just sewed over it. So I don't want to take up too much time either, so I'm just going to try to put this together. So before I sew that next one on, I need a pair of scissors. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this back part off. So you don't want all that extra fabric when you flip that front part forward. We don't need all of the extra fabric. So, and there's really not a whole lot there to save, so I'm not gonna save it. So now I can lay that down and press it nice and flat. But before I do that, I'm gonna put the other one on, and I'm gonna just make me a nice little fold line to follow with my needle on, if I can sew a straight line. I think I had too much coffee earlier because I kind of java it up a little bit, and so I've been out here all day and I drink a lot of coffee. So I'm gonna see if I can get a straight line. Okay, Okay, that one went together very nice. So there is the peak to the roof. And I'm gonna cut the back part off. And I should have set up an ironing station here close so I kind of show you, but I'm just gonna put this piece together real quick and then I'll press it. And you're gonna use a 1/4 inch seam allowance just like you normally would on quilting. And I am adding on the side pieces to my roof. And this should go together fairly quickly. And so then we have the roof piece. So I'm gonna sew this A piece on next, and then I have an A piece for underneath as well. Let's take that, put that there. So I have another one here. So you can see the top of my barn and the roof is already starting to take shape. I'm gonna press this real quick. My iron is right here. Okay. So my iron is kind of cooled down, but I want to get through the first barn without too much trouble, so I can show you how this goes together. And it's fairly simple if you follow the picture. So, and we're gonna sew the top of the roof on, and I want to make sure everything lines up. I want to try to get these as precisely together as I can. Okay, and I'm gonna flip that forward. And now I'm going to put this bottom A piece. So this roof piece is an A, and this is a A piece for your barn board. So you'll find that there's a lot of pieces that are the same, but they're for different parts. So you have to kind of separate your roof piece and from your barn pieces, which you can kind of see in the shaded areas on the pattern. So it's pretty easy to follow. Just pay attention, and it'll be fun to put these together. Okay, starting to come to life already in just a few stitches. All right, let me press this. Okay, iron is heating up a little bit better, so there we go. We have the top of the barn and the roof is on. So the next piece is I'm gonna set this here, because actually this was the first part, and then there's another, this is this part. Okay, then we need an E, and E is part of the barn. Hold on guys, and I'll let you out. So you got an E, and then I need an F, because I have a window. So I'm gonna put a window piece, so that window piece, and then we need glasses. A G, so I have 2 G's here, so we're gonna take this one. You're gonna have a G piece, and then we're gonna have another F piece, and we're gonna have another E piece. So these 5 pieces are gonna come together. So you have an E, an F, a G, and an F, and an E. Now I'm gonna let the dogs out. I'm gonna sew these together and I'll be right back. Okay, I got this sewed together. Let the dogs out. I think I need a dog sitter. You know, I don't know how hard, you just really don't know how hard it is to sew with animals, and they're like kids. So I don't think there's any right or wrong way to press these. I just press mine to the side. I know a lot of people like to press open. So I think pressing is up to you. And I think I'm gonna have a little overhang on this. So you might have to do some trimming as well, depending on how you sew. I've tried to be very precise on cutting, but not everything works out like it should. So I'm gonna have that piece on, and I can see I have a little bit of overhang on each side, so I'll probably just trim that down. And then the next piece is another barn board piece, and this is another A. So I'm gonna sew this on to this piece, and then I'm gonna do the bottom half, and that is the part with the chicken in it. So I'm gonna sew this on real quick, press it, and put it on my design wall. And then we're gonna get to the chicken pieces and to put them together. So this is gonna go together fairly quickly. And since I have a little overhang, I'm trying to sew this right in the middle so everything stays nice and even. And it could be just my cutting, but it's not a huge deal. I think everything you sew, you have to kind of trim it and make everything fit together. So we've got the top part of our hen house together, and I'm getting really excited about this because this is so different than what I did before. And I just really think this looks really cool. So that's the top part of the hen house with the gray roof. And I'm gonna press this real quick. Well, actually, let me just set this aside. And well, press it. And I'm just gonna put this up here. This is gonna be kind of tall. So as we get the pieces together, I'm gonna put that on my design wall. And as I get them together, you'll see how it comes along. So the bottom part, I'm gonna need an E piece. So I'm gonna take this, and then I should stand this up. I've got a H. Okay, this is an H. An H, and I think that's an L. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Because this is going to be the chicken tail. And then I need a J, because that's going to go underneath. So you have the back part here. This is going to be a flip and stitch. That's going to be the bottom, and that's going to fit to this. And then we're going to need a G piece, which is going to be in the middle. And then we're going to need a K, which is the chicken head part. And we're going to need an L to give the head shape, which is a chicken wire piece, and that's going to be a flip and stitch. I'm going to do this one as a right-facing chicken. So each hen house, you have a right-facing chicken and a left-facing chicken. And I have to look at the directions to see how many each I need. I don't think it will really matter, because there's going to be 5 of one right-facing chicken and 4 of the other facing chicken, because there's 9 hen houses. So I guess it's up to you, or you can do just like the picture. I'll probably just do just like the picture that calls for. So an M, I need an M, and that is a chicken wire. And we need a J for on top. A J piece is a chicken wire. I have to pay attention to the diagram, because the diagram is telling you each pieces, and some of, like you have a J piece in the chicken, but you also have a J piece in the chicken wire. So I have to pay attention to your pattern on what pieces you need. So the J piece is gonna go up over the chicken, and this is gonna go over the M. So that's gonna be that. And then you're gonna need another E piece for this side here. So that takes care of all the E's. So these are all the pieces for my next row. So what I'm gonna start with is this H, and I'm gonna take the H piece and the L, and this is the chicken tail, and I'm going to fold it corner to corner, and we're gonna do a flip and stitch with this. So I'm just making the stitching line. You can draw a line, and I'm sure that's what the directions tells you to, is to draw a line on the back side corner to corner, and you're gonna put this, you're gonna have your H, your long side standing, and you're gonna put your L piece right down here in the corner. And I've got me a little press line, and I'm gonna sew that.
Don't forget to take out your trash cans.
Thanks, Alexa. I'm gonna sew this from corner to corner. And you can see I've sewed it diagonally. And then when I flip it down, I'm going to have the chicken tail here. So I'm gonna cut that back part off. And that piece is all ready to go. And now I can sew my J piece to the bottom of that. So this is the bottom part of the chicken. And this chicken looks like it's gonna set right in the window. So you have a board in between the chickens. So you got the back part of the chicken and then the front part of the chicken, but the board is in the middle. So you'll see that in your diagram. And this is just how we put it together. So we got the back part of the chicken and this board piece here, which is your E. I'm just gonna go ahead and sew that on to the back side of this, and that lines right up perfectly. And I'm just gonna finger press these for now, and then hopefully if I can finger press them well enough, then I can just take them over to my iron and put them together. Now this G piece is gonna attach to this, so I'm gonna go ahead and sew that to the other side. The G piece is in the middle. G piece, yep. And that lines up perfectly. And I'm gonna finger press. So that is the left-hand side of my right-facing chicken. And I'll probably spritz this with a little best press and then put my iron right down on it, and it'll help it lay nice and flat and crispy, because right now it looks like it's a little puffy and I need it to lay nicely. So now we've got this J piece up here. We have this piece, which we're gonna do a flip and stitch with the chicken wire piece, and I'm going to kind of fold that like that. And I am going to sew it in the upper part of this piece, because this is going to give the head some shape. And I'm going to sew it diagonally. I'm going to flip it forward and make sure it fits nice, and it does. So I'm going to cut that back part off. And I cut it about 1/4 of an inch away from my sew line, so and that'll lay down nice and flat. And then, let's see, we got this. Now we need this M piece, which is the same size as that, and we're going to put the beak on, and we're going to fold that and I'm going to fold it diagonally. And this is going to give me the stitch and flip. And normally, if I was doing this by myself, I would probably take my iron and I would iron these in half, and it gives me a nice crisp press, so I can just sew right down alongside my line. but if it's easier, you can draw a line. So this, so my M piece, this is gonna point out to the left-hand corner to make my beak, just like the picture. And you know, just make sure if you look at it and look at your picture, everything should be the same. So I'm gonna sew that in place. And I'm gonna flip it over and make sure it lays nicely and everything lines up. So I'm gonna cut the back part of it off. And that piece is all ready. So this piece can sew to this black piece with the chicken wire in the left-hand corner, and this piece will sew right in front of it, and then it'll give your chicken its beak, and this will be the head piece. And since this has got bulk, I'm gonna press that seam open. Some seams I press open, some of them I just lay them to the side, but considering that's gonna give it extra bulk right there, I'm just gonna press it open just to make it lay nice and flat without having all that extra in there. Okay, and there is our chicken face, and you can kind of see the beak. And then so this will go right in the front here. This little chicken wire piece will go on top. And this will be the right facing chicken. And that'll flip up nice. And you can see that that's gonna go right there to that piece, and everything fits nicely. And then this piece is gonna go to this piece. So I'm gonna sew this piece on here first. And I'm gonna make sure everything lines up. And I'm gonna get it started. And then I'm gonna open that seam up as well, only because there's a little bit of bulkiness in there. And I'd like it to lay a little bit better, and so I'm gonna open that up just to kind of make it lay flatter. Because if you have several layers in one spot, when you're connecting stuff, it does make a little bit bulky, so I'm just trying to reduce some of that bulk. It's not a must, but I think it helps make it lay a little bit nicer. And my edges are even. And there. And there's the front part of our right facing chicken, so you can kind of see. So now I can put the back part and the front piece together. So I'm just gonna put these two pieces together just like this, and everything fits nicely. Don't know why the top of my barn boards were a little bit off, but not sure. But stuff happens, just trim it up. Everything will fit together nicely and it'll look nice. Okay, and that's the chicken part. And these hen houses go together fairly easy. So you can see that there's the chicken. And so I'm going to, well, I'll set this aside because I wanna put some best press on it and lay it nice and flat. And so let's finish the bottom part of this barn. And then we will put we'll put the top to it and get it going. So let's see. There is an A piece here. And let's see, we need an N piece, so this is an N. And then we need an O piece. And this will be the door. And then we're gonna need a P, and this is the middle. This is the middle of the bottom. This is the bottom portion of our hen house. And then we need an F. And this is another window that's gonna go right up here. So that's an F. And then there will be an N. No, H. No. F is a window. H. Yep, H is right here. And H is a piece of the barn. Whew, you really have to, yeah, it's easy to get confused if I get in a hurry, so I'm trying to get all my pieces. Holy cow, I think it's raining. And then the last piece for this is an N on this side. So this will be all of the rest of my barn pieces. And I'm just gonna save all of my letter stickies so when I do the next barn, when I cut up the pieces, I can relabel them just like I did this one. So what I'm gonna do, I guess I'm gonna start with these two pieces here, the N and the O, and I'm gonna sew these together. Gonna kind of finger press that open, and then I'm going to put on the P piece. This will be your middle piece from your door to your window. And just look at your diagram. You see exactly where every piece goes. It's a funny thing of the letters on this diagram are so small, and I don't know if y'all's eyes are like mine, but phew. I can hardly see. I have to put my readers on. And Tilly wants back in. It's raining. Hold on, I'm going to put these pieces together, and we will put the hen house fully together. Okay, it's really raining out there. So I've got the window piece put together. I didn't get this all finished up, but I want to kind of walk you through. So we have the door, we have the window, and then I have the board piece up at the top. And while you weren't looking, I went ahead and best pressed my chicken piece. It lays really nice and flat, and I can't wait to put this all together because it's gonna look really great. I'm super excited for this. And I even trimmed up the first half piece that I've got hanging on my wall here, so I'll show you that as we get this put together. Finger press that down. So I've already kind of best pressed them. Best press, you can use best press, you can use a little bit of spray starch, whatever you got. It really helps your pieces lay nice, and if you put something on them to kind of make them crisp, they just come together really nice. So let's get this piece on. Chicken part on. We need this rain. It has been so hot here. Okay, so there's the bottom part of my chicken house. They have the door of the window. And then we're going to put this chicken right here on top, and then I'm going to add it to my other piece on the wall, which you can't see right now, but you will. And when I get this put together, hopefully we can make a Tilda girl. My first Tilda. Waited a long time to start this quilt, and really excited to get it put together. Okay, so the lower part of my hen house, and you can see how the chicken is peeking, and the chicken wire, it just looks phenomenal. I think I really like this. I think I'm going to love this quilt more than I loved the last one that I built. Like I said, I rethought the whole thing through and how I want to redo it, you know, now that I have the experience. And I think this one's going to be a treasure. And I'm also excited for the Corning Quilt Show, Corning Quilt Guild Quilt Show next year. We're already talking about it. And I'm like, I'm gonna have so many cool quilts. I had made 7 quilts for the Peacemaker Quilts show this year, and that was really fun. So I'm hoping I have a bunch more done for the Corning Quilt show next year. So this one is gonna be one of the quilts are in it. Anyway, let me see. Let me grab the top part of my hen house. We'll put this together. I'll press it, and then I will hang it back up on my design wall. And we'll see how she looks. And if she needs any kind of trimming, I'm gonna do that ahead of time. And so I think it should measure a certain width. I can't remember, I don't know if it tells me what the finished, okay, the block size should be 10.5 by 25.5. So that's our finished block. So when we get this thing sewed together and I press, oh, and I have a long piece to put down the side. But I am not going to put that long piece down the side because that is going to be a sashing. So I am not going to put the sashing piece on this hen house piece because maybe I am. Because that would be the background. Yeah, let me figure that one out because I might modify something in this. I was thinking, what I want to do is sash out each hen house and girl, where this one has like a background sashing in between them all. I really wanted to make each block feel more individual. So I am playing with the idea of putting a different kind of sashing in between the hen house, the girl, and the girl. I want them together, but then I want a sashing to separate from to the next girl, so it'll be a little wider. So I'm gonna figure that one out. We're not gonna put this together yet, so I'm not gonna sweat it. So let me put this together, and then I will show you on the wall, and then maybe we'll get started on the Tilda. Okay. All right, there she is. I don't know if you can see it up close, but I'm going to keep it on the wall, but I'm going to bring it over here and show you. It is 25.5 inches tall, and I'm not putting on that sashing on the edge of it yet because I'm not sure what I want to do, but this is the first block. The sashing in between the girl and the girl and the hen house are going to be together, but I want a sashing in between to separate each girl in their own individual hen house, if that makes any sense. I can't do anything by the rules. I have to modify something to kind of make it my own. So this really is, I'm making it my own with the barn boards and my chickens and the girls. I just want to paint my own picture, as I've always said. So this is how they're gonna be. So this is the first hen house. I will probably continue on doing this after I show you, how I do the first ones. And I would love to see yours and how you do yours. It'd be really fun to see. So I'm gonna grab my my girl stuff and we will get on to making a Tilda girl. So, okay, something I wanted to point out about the hen house, because I did the right face chicken first. So the right facing chicken is gonna go in the middle of the hen house. The left facing chicken is going to go at the top. So I want to pay attention to the details in the hen house, because so we're going to make 4 of the left facing on the top shelf, and we're going to make 5 right facing on the middle shelf in your hen houses. So that's some kind of little detail that I want to pay attention to. And like I said, this sashing that is on the right hand side of the hen house, I don't want that big of a sashing in there because I kind of want to fit my girl and my hen house together. So I'm not sure, and I'm not sure how much of the blue background I got either. So I haven't cut up all my pieces yet, so I got to kind of figure out how much I got and how I want to figure that out. But I will keep you posted on how I do mine as I go along. Do yours like the directions or however you want to do it. I'm just a little different, and like I said, I see things a little bit differently in how I want to do things. So what we're going to do with the girl is we're going to start with the head and the left part of her hair and the face, because that is the first block there. and I will get next to the dress and I will show you the diagram on how I did the pieces on it, because the dress is a little bit complicated on how you make those angles, and they want you to draw a 1/4 inch all the way around and then line up the dots with both pieces so that you get that 1/4 inch and you don't lose your point. But anyway, I'm getting ahead. So to start, we're going to start with an A piece, which is going to be the top left hand corner of the girl, and that is a background. So let me set this aside so I can get the pieces, and I'm going to lay them out here on my sewing table. And let's see, we are going to need a B piece. So B is a background for that piece. So I know that piece is going to go right up there. Keep my B's together. I got all these pieces over here. There's a lot of little pieces to this. So it's easier to lay them out as you see on the diagram. And there is also a B piece on the bottom, and we're going to get started with the hair pieces. And the directions walk you through, you know, if you want to do it by the directions and put them together. I just don't do things like the directions because I am a visualist, and that's just how I do it. So I need a D. That's going to be above this. We're going to get those hair pieces. So I'm just getting my pieces all laid out. And let's see, we have a face piece. I'm probably not going to have enough room on my table to kind of lay this together. There's a face piece. There is the hair piece, which I only have one color hair cut out right now, so I'm just going to save all these little letters for my hair pieces. But I know that this one's going to go on top of the face. Put this down here for now. There is an F for the hair, which will be this piece. And this is going to go down on the bottom. Uh-oh, looks like I needed... No. This is the hair. It's easy to get confused on this, so I'm just forewarning you. Pay attention to details, because I look at things and I see other letters and I'm like, oh no, that's not what I'm looking at. I am looking at the face. The face block is this, and she has a hair piece in the left-hand corner, and it's going to be a flip and stitch. This part will be the top of her hair, and then there is an H hair, which there's only one of each of these, and this is going to go on the face part as well. And I'm just kind of finagling on what side I want to use. And I'm just using my diagonal fold for my pieces. So it may be better if I could see what I'm doing. And I probably should use my iron to kind of do these, but I'm just going to lay them out right now. So I know that you're going to put this left-hand hair piece on first, and then you're going to put the right-hand piece, because it's going to overlap a little bit on the left-hand flip and stitch. So that's the hair. And then you've got two F's, and those are don't tease to go out. You got two F's, which are background pieces that are going to frame out the face. These are also going to be flip and stitch. And these are pieces that you need to pay attention to on your diagram to where everything goes. So I like to lay it out first, so I kind of have an idea on where everything is going to get sewed. Just think of this as a puzzle and how you're putting it together. So I'm just kind of pressing these. Those are... Anybody want to babysit the dogs? I go through this every day. Whether I'm quilting or sewing, I am a doggy door lady. Let the dogs in, let the dogs out. Let the dogs in, let the dogs out. Well, it stopped raining, so now they want to go back out. And they don't realize how hot it is, so they'll be out there 5 minutes, and then Tilly will be digging at the door and wanting to come back in. So those are gonna go on the facial pieces right there. You got the B and the D, and there is two F pieces on top to shape out the head here on the hair as well. So I'm gonna grab two more of those. And these are gonna also be corner pieces. background, and they will help give the head shape and the hair shape, because that's the top of the head. And you can kind of see, if you put these on your pieces, how they're gonna go. You'll kind of see that it starts to take shape. If I could only talk. I'm trying to get the information out of my mouth, and my brain is not cooperating. So I'm better at sewing than trying to teach, I think, sometimes. I mean, I can show you how to do things. I don't know if I'm a good teacher sometimes, but I'm trying. So I'm to try to make everybody understand what you're doing. So this is just one portion. So we've got, let's see, we're gonna take 3 of those are the hair pieces in the background. So I'm gonna take 3 of these C's, which are the background, and I'm gonna take 3 of the hair pieces. And I might have made extra of these because it's gonna make, no, I'm gonna get 2 pieces out of each one. It's a hair piece. So I'm going to lay the C pieces, which are the background and the hair. They're the same size, they are 2 inch. And I'm gonna put them pretty to pretty. And these, I am going to draw a diagonal line from corner to corner. So I'm gonna put these together, because you're gonna get 2 half square triangles out of each of these. And so we'll end up with 6 half square triangles when you cut these all in half after we sew them. So I think what we're gonna do with these is we are going to draw a diagonal line, and then you're gonna sew on each half of the diagonal line. So you're gonna get 2 half square triangles out of each one of these. And these are gonna be the little hair pieces. And this is where it gets really particular, because you wanna be careful when you position these in to sew them together, that we get them right. Because I remember the first time I made a Tilda girl, Glenda was at my house, and I had one of them turned, and we were having a like 2-minute argument about, you know, the piece was wrong, and I couldn't see it, and she could, and finally I was like, okay, you're right. So yeah, so I want to remember, you know, to keep your diagram close by, so when you're laying things out before you sew them together. And it probably would be a good idea to have another design board here where I can kind of lay things out, so I can have everything positioned on how I want to put it together and sew it, and then I can just have it right here by my machine and feed it through. It makes it so much easier to lay it like the diagram, because then you can just kind of follow the picture and everything makes sense. So I'm going to draw a diagonal line on these, and I'm going to draw a diagonal line from corner to corner, and I'm going to sew 1/4 inch on each side of that line, and then I'm going to cut them in half. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done, and I'm going to let dozer out, and I might just even press these down so I have a nice little press line too, and that'll make it easier for me when I show you how we're going to sew them together. So stay with me. Okay, so what I did with these is I drawed a line down the middle, and then I sewed 1/4 inch on each side of that line. So when I cut these in half, I will end up with 2, 4, 6 half square triangles, and you're going to need 3 half square triangles for each side of the hair. So hopefully I did this right. So I'm going to cut these in half and open them up, and I might have to square them up to 1.5 inches. Let's see what I get. I think the last time I did these, I did them all individually, which I should have done them this way. So yes, I should end up with little 1.5 inch squares or half square triangles. So I'm going to press these open, and hopefully they are 1.5 inches, or I can square them up, which more than likely when you make half square triangles, you have to square them. So I might have to square these up, but we can get the rest of the head part put together. So I'm going to set them aside, and let's get the top of the hair piece here. This is your hair piece, which is E with the 2 F's on it in each corner. And these are the flip and stitch. And I pressed these a little bit so I could have a nice precise little line, so I could have a little guide to keep me straight. It helps a lot better when I'm off of there a little bit. I'm just gonna go back over that just slightly, because I want it to line up nice and I don't want it to have a gap. There we go. And I'm gonna do the same thing with this side. So let's get that right on there. And I'm trying to sew right close to that fold line without, see, and I did the same thing. I go off at the end, so I can just go back in there and get it a little bit closer. And there. So when I fold them over, it'll look nice. And I don't want it to, you know, flip up. You want it to get it as close as you can. So I'm gonna take this big one off. I'm gonna sew this top left flip and stitch, and this is on the face, and this is the little F square. So I'm gonna sew this one on first, and then I'll go back and sew the other one on the other side, because they're gonna overlap a little bit, and I wanna cut this off before I sew the other one on. And I'm just gonna take those background pieces off so I don't lose them. I'm just gonna trim that off. And I have that little square there. That's the F square on the side of the face. And then you have the H square, which is a little bit bigger. And I'm gonna put that one, and it's gonna overlap that one I just sewed just slightly. So it looks like almost like she has a part in her hair. And as I said, you gotta think of this like a puzzle. You're putting it together, only you are sewing it together. And I know a lot of people, they're like, oh, that's too many little pieces, but this is just so much fun to do. I just love the way it turns out. Now, that one I got right on the fold, so I'm gonna show you in a little example, because I'm gonna take that back out. It doesn't quite meet up to the edge. I can see the white background of the back square here, and I don't want that. I want it to go all the way to the top. Even though it probably would get lost in the seam allowance, I still think I could do better, so I'm just gonna show you an example, and I'm gonna get out my trusty little seam ripper, and I'm gonna take that back out because I don't like it. I wanna do this right, and I want it to look nice, and I want everything to meet. So you can be as fussy as you want. My motto is always close enough is good enough, but I really want this to be a little bit better. So I'm gonna be a little more fussy on this one to get things accurately right and look nice, because I know I can do better. And it's probably a great example to show you why you wanna sew beside your line and on the back side of your line where you're gonna cut off, because you need that little bit of leeway when you do your flip and stitch. So, because that fold is gonna take up that little bit of line space. So if I make this, if I sew just beside that fold line and not on it, because that one I stitched right on the line, and I see it didn't quite meet up. So I'm gonna do a little bit better than that, and I'm gonna sew right alongside that fold line. And then this is gonna, the fold will be right on that line, and you can see now it meets up right to the edge, and that's what I want. I want that to go right to the edge. So now I can cut my back part off, because I like that a lot better. And it looks nice. And just throw that away. And now I can put the top of her hair on with those two background pieces, and I didn't cut the back part off them yet, so let's cut the back part of them off. We don't need all that extra fabric in there. So there's one. And I know you can't see what I'm doing because I have to hold this on my leg so I can hold it. This is how I do things. So there, now I can line that up on the top of her head. And I want everything to meet. And there we we go. And we'll just stitch that right on. And there is the hair. And you can see that she's almost got like a little part. I got a little loose threads in there, which I can clean them up later, but I just kind of do as I go along. Yep, that's where I took out my stitches. Threads. Oh, I'm a thread picker. Okay, so now we want to give the face some shape. So I'm going to put these background pieces on. So I'm going to put this one on first. Open it up and sew it right beside my line. And I'm way off. I need to correct that a little bit, so I'm just going to go back in and re-sew. There. Now that part meets up nice and perfect. If I get way off and I need to sew a little closer, I just go back in and re-stitch. Otherwise, you can just take it out, but I can just see that it was off. And sometimes I get in a hurry and it gets a little off. So that one there is nice. So there we have the face. And you can see these are the background colors. And I'm going to cut these back parts off because we don't need that. We don't need that extra fabric in there. So let's take those off. And when I press this, I will probably square it up a little bit just to make sure everything is nice and even and square and there's no loose threads. So yeah, there's threads here too. Let's just trim them threads off. Even when I'm quilting on the quilter, I am constantly picking threads. They drive me crazy. I don't know. I just want everything to be nice and neat. And so there, now we have the face. And let's see, so we got this part, we got this part. So the next part to put together is these little squares. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to press these open and I will square them up to 1.5, and then we will place them out and how they're going to go together, and we will sew them together. So I'm gonna do that off camera. I'm gonna press these open, square them up, and then I will lay them out how they're gonna look here, and we'll see how this part of the face and the head are gonna come together, and then the next part we're gonna get to the dress. All right, I got the little squares all squared up. They come out to 1.5, they're perfect. So I've got the hair all shaped where it needs to go. And I'm gonna check my diagram and make sure everything is correct. So I'm gonna sew these two pieces together first. Hello, Jim.
What are you doing?
I'm sewing.
Gee, thanks for clearing that one up.
I'm making Tildas.
What part are you working
on? The face. So the top diagram, yep.
Cool.
So there is the first piece. Now I could have chain sewed them in, but I want to open them up and kind of see how they're going. And maybe I could nest these seams. So I'm gonna sew these two together. I'm really getting excited because this is so cool. I love this quilt.
Now, is this the same Tilda that you did on your first Tilda?
Yep, I didn't want to recreate this one because I'd already did it before, but being that I lost it, I thought I would recreate it.
With just different colors?
Different colors, different design. I just want to make this one totally different than the last one. I loved the last one, but this one, I thought I would do all the dresses. The dresses are Tilda prints, and the print is all the same except they're just different colors. The boots will all be the same color. The hair color, I've got 2 brown, 2 black, 2 blonde, and then 2 like silverish color hairs.
I like blondes.
Yeah, he does. And the chickens I'm doing in black and white, and of course all of the chicken hen houses are different barn board. So this one's going to be really unique, and I really want to do some kind of a sashing in between the Tilda and hen house blocks, so each girl has her own hen house, and then I want to put some kind of a fancy sashing in between to kind of individualize each block instead of having all the same background like in the pattern. So I haven't really got to that part yet, and I'm trying to explain.
Have you thought about how you're going to quilt it?
No, not yet. I know the last one we quilted, we did like a grandmother's flower garden on it where it had a little bit of the hexie flowers, I think we did on it. But
I almost wonder if the chicken coop wire would look cute.
Yeah, I thought of that in my mind. So that would be something everybody could comment on. I know it's a ways ahead, but we're already thinking about patterns, and I've thought about that too. What do you all think about chicken wire quilting on this quilt? We do have the chicken wire pattern, and it would look really cool. Or if you're, got any other suggestions for something different, let me know as well. I just like to know everybody's thoughts if you are doing a Tilda quilt.
And out of curiosity too, because there's a lot of people asking about the Tilda quilt in comments for other videos. So if you're doing the Tilda quilt along with Marnay, drop a comment down below and let us know. I'd be interested to see
I know
how many people are gonna do a Tilda quilt.
A lot of the Tilda quilts now that I've seen, and I've seen them at quilt shows, or not quilt shows, I've seen them at Hoover's. Somebody was selling Tilda fabric and had some Tilda quilts. And they're done just like the picture, and they were all custom quilted. Now, I'm gonna tell you right now about custom quilting, is it takes time and it takes money. It takes time for the person that's doing it, and I'm not into really doing any custom quilting. I like my edge to edge. It's simple because I have a lot of quilts that I need to do, and I like to get them done. And
we
custom
have done
quilting,
some custom quilting.
we have, but it's time and it's money.
It's got to be.
So it depends on how special it is, but I really don't want to go into custom quilting for my quilts.
For me, like to do some custom quilting, it's got to be a quilt that I really like, because like there's an artistic piece there from the quilting aspect.
And it is.
There's got to be something there that I'm like, that would be awesome, have it custom quilted. But
for this to be custom quilted, like the quilts that I just thought it's a lot. It's a lot, I mean, I don't know. Unless you're gonna show it off, if you're gonna take it to a quilt show, or gonna have it judged or something, I don't know. I mean, I'm a simple girl, and maybe that's just a part of me that's the simplicity, because I would just rather stick to something simple. Even though I love the details of building this quilt, because this quilt is a lot of pieces and it's just very different. I'm gonna double check.
I got those.
All my pieces.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, did I screw you up? Uh-oh.
I put my sides on
This is
wrong.
time for Jim to go.
Well, this is what I'm talking about when I pay attention to details. Because it is so simple to mess things up. So really all I've got to do is turn this, because the hair goes this way, and these two pieces should be up here and down here, and I've got them from side to side. So I've just got to take those out because I get talking.
I got a dump truck I got to go work on. She's pulling out a seam ripper. I got to go.
It's very easy to get distracted. But mistakes are good, because this is how we learn, So don't do what I do. Love you. I'll see you in a bit.
Windows are outside.
So I'm gonna take these back off because as I said, we need to pay attention to our diagram. So it will take me a moment to rip these stitches out. I'm not gonna make you watch. And I'm gonna put it on the right way, because my hair, I gotta check my pieces, goes this way. So my hair should go this way, and these two pieces that I just sewed should be top and bottom, and I've got them on side to side. So give me a moment and I will get back to you. Okay, seam ripping is done. This should be our finished hair piece. So this is the left side of the hair, and you have like this little 4-patch here where you got the 3 pieces, 3 half square triangles of the hair, and then a plain background back, and then the top and the bottom, and this is going to go on the side of the face. So this block will be just about complete. And little mistakes like this are just the little details that we have to pay attention to. And yes, I was probably distracted by talking to Jim because I'm not paying attention. And when you're doing little pieces like this, you really need to pay attention to what we're doing. It is very easy to get something turned and not go right. So, you know, there's a lot of bulk in the back here with the seams, and I could press this open to kind of make everything lay a little bit better, because I don't want humps and bumps. And it's just easier on the quilter as well, because there is a lot of bulk in these little pieces. And I did spray Best Press on my hair pieces, which I didn't do when I first sewed them together, and I said I should spray them with the Best Press because it does help them lay flat, and it makes them more crisp. And I trimmed it up as well because it was getting a little stretched. So just makes things a little bit easier. So as you can see, this is really coming together. And I can still see a thread in there. So, okay, so now we're gonna put this head block to this left background piece here. And I will press this and I will set it to side, because this is the first part of the Tilda girl here. So it's all in sections. So this is the first section. And I'm really loving the way it's turning out. So you can kind of see there it is. There's her face and her hair. I just love the little hair pieces. It just makes me smile when I look at this quilt and I look at these girls. They're just so old-fashioned and tender, and I don't know, I just love it. I just really love it. So the next piece we're gonna do is the dress part. So I'm gonna set this aside. It's over here for now. I'm gonna set that aside, and what we have is the large part of the dress here. As you can see, you've got two angles here, these two big pieces, they're eyes. And you have to be pretty precise with the dress part. So the biggest part of the dress is the little angle that the dress comes out, and it comes out to a point. And in the directions, they wanted you to make a 1/4 inch line, which I drew in pencil. I mapped out a 1/4 inch all the way around this rectangle. So this rectangle is, I think it's 8.5. Yeah, it's 8 inches by 13.5. So the dress, the most biggest part of the dress is this big triangle. So it's 8.5 wide and 13 inches long. And you're gonna do the same with the background piece. The background piece, I mapped all the 1/4 inch out. And of course I want the pretty to pretty. And then I kind of put a pin, because you wanna get the corner points of this, and you're gonna kind of lay it, and you're gonna have to follow the diagram in the pattern. And you can, I think this one they had standing up this way, or maybe it was, yeah, one was this way and the other one is sideways. I'll get to the other one. This is the main part of the dress. So this part is where the dress comes out. And I drew a line from corner to corner from my corners of my 1/4 inch line all the way around. So the 1/4 inch line is on the back of the dress part, and then the 1/4 inch line is on the back of this. So I just stuck pins in, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew on that 1/4 inch line, I think. So when I played with this, I don't know if it's this part of the dress that comes forward. Yeah, I think it's this part. Because as I don't know if you can see this on camera, but down here I can see I have a 1/4 inch right here, and we need that so we don't lose the point of our dress. Up here it comes up and it meets in the corner, which is okay, because we're gonna sew that part to the sleeve and the rest of the dress. So down here you can see, if you did this right and pinned it together, I have a little bit of a space right here, which is going to give me a seam allowance so I won't lose my dress point. So what I'm going to do, since this part here on the right is going to be the side that I'm going to take off, I'm going to sew right along the right hand side of my line. And that way when I flip this over, it should line up from corner to corner. It should line up evenly with the background. And then of course, I'm gonna cut that background piece off, and this will be the front of my dress. If it makes sense. Follow your directions carefully. I don't think I did this precisely in the first one that I did, although I did have I think I had most of the points on my dresses. I think maybe one or two I got a little off, but this one here I'm trying to be more precise on. So I'm going to sew this down on the side of my line on this side. I'm gonna make sure that my needle falls just on the right hand side of my line. And I probably should take that pin out because I don't want that in the way. So I'm just gonna move that and not lose my place. And I'm gonna line that up to the inside of my toe of my foot. And I'm going to sew right down, right alongside that line, just so I have enough room for the to fold it over. I think Tilly is at the door again. I have to be honest, these dogs drive me crazy all day long because when I am trying to get work done in here, yep, he's barking. Jim is out in the garage working on his dozer, or not his dozer, his dump truck. And who has to watch the dogs? Me. This is why I get cranky sometimes when I don't get anything done, because the dogs. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. Deep breath. The dogs are gonna make me a crazy woman yet. So, the dress part went together nicely. I have a little bit of space down here in the bottom for my seam allowance. So when the pieces come together, when I put the sashing in between, I have room and I'm not gonna lose the point of my dress. So with that being said, brings me to the bottom of the dress. So the same for this is, I made a 1/4 inch area all the way around the background. And I did this in pencil, mind you, too, but you can also do it in invisible ink that disappears with the heat erase pens. And so I did the front side of the bottom of the dress here, the seam allowance, and I had to line up the points on each side to make sure everything met. And I'm hoping I did this right. I feel a little frazzled right now. So yeah, everything looks like it's going to meet right up, and I have a line here as well drawed. And I'm not sure which side I want to go. So if I go this side, I think everything is going to meet up. I want to make sure I do this right. Because yes, the top of my dress, the point will come out this way and the wide part will be here. So my dress is, okay, so this is the area I want to sew from first. It's right up here, and I'm going to sew right along the side of my line that I drawed. I don't want to make any more mistakes. Really would just like to get the first block done. I don't feel like I'm going to get it done today. Okay, so I've sewed alongside my line, and this should fold over and it should meet up. And I will be trimming off the back part so everything lines up. I do have a little space there for seam allowance, which when I put this to the bottom of this part that I just made, it should line up, and this will be the bottom of the dress. So the dress will angle out. So let's, I'm gonna press this and I'm gonna cut off the back part. And I think I could do that with my scissors. This is a small piece, so I'm just gonna do that. And I'm gonna cut it about a 1/4 inch away from my line. And you can see I have some scraps here. And then this will come forward like this. Take care of those pins. Stick them on my chicken. And then we have this piece here, and this is where the dress will meet together with this. So if I put this together, everything, fingers crossed, everything should come together nicely. So, and I might need to trim, because it looks a little bit wider than what it should. So I'm not sure why. I should do it back this way. Yeah, let's do this. Let's see how that looks. I might have to trim it just a little bit. Let's see if I did that right. No, I did not. I can still see some of the point extending past my dress. So it needs to come back just a little bit. So let me get my trusty seam ripper out and see if I can adjust, because nothing is ever precise. And I tried to be very careful when I was putting this together with the pins and stuff. There's been a lot of distractions today. You know, somebody always comes, or it's the dogs, and then I lose my focus. So, I don't know, maybe I should become the midnight quilter, because I'm just like, I say that it's very busy around here, because there's always something happening. We have animals, and I don't get much done sometimes, and I feel like I'm always, you know, going in spurts, trying to do my sewing and things, and sometimes I wish I could just lock myself away from the world and the outside world and just have a sewing time and be able to concentrate with no distractions. But it's very hard. It's my life, and it's just how it is. But when I do get quiet time, I enjoy it. I enjoy when Tilly lays down and takes his long naps and doesn't bother me. But when Dozer's out here and you have two of them together, they get annoyed with each other, or they play. You know, it's always breaking my concentration. I told Jim here a while back, I was like, when we build a new house, I wanted a sewing space in the house, and he was like, why would you want another sewing space? He said, you have this whole room. The thing about this room is I don't have any time to myself in this room. It is very difficult to have time out here without, you know, my phone ringing, which I'm amazed that my phone hasn't rang today. But I mean, it's constant. It's constant things going on. So it constantly breaks my attention and makes it very hard to focus. So anyway, I'm not gonna complain. It's just sometimes when I'm doing things, I just really want to focus and concentrate. And I went out to the garage. That's better. So everything lines up. So I don't have any overhang. And so I was a little bit off, but now when that comes in, everything's gonna line up. So I guess try and try again. So it lines up. So I'm gonna press that out, and this is the second part of our Tilda, is the dress. So I'm gonna best press this. I'm gonna set this aside because that needs to be pressed. And let's see, on the third diagram, we're going to put together the chicken, and the chicken is right underneath her dress. So I'm going to take an end piece. This is the main part of our chicken. Let me set this aside so I can kind of lay this out. So the main part of our chicken, and then I need a K piece, which is a background color. So I'm going to take a K, and the background is going to go right above this piece. And then we're going to need an L, which is the tail. This is going to be a flip and stitch. And let me just kind of fold that how I want it. So flip and stitch. I'm just going to do this on my leg so I can kind of, I should take my iron and press it. So that's going to fit right there on that piece. So that's going to be the tail part, and then we have the head. So we're going to have a K piece, which is going to be this. And that's going to be, now you got to figure there's a little seam allowance there. And then we're going to need an M, which will be a background piece. M is right here. That is going to be a flip and stitch as well. And we're going to prepare that piece by folding it diagonally from corner to corner. And I'm just going to kind of give it a little press. And that's going to go right here, which is going to give her a head shape. So that will go there. And then we're going to need two L's, which are background, because that's going to give our bottom of our chicken some roundness. And we're going to do the flip and stitch with these. It's getting really dark outside. I think it's going to thunderstorm again. So these are going to go into the bottom of our end piece, because it's going to make the chicken have its shape to the body. And there'll be two of those. Okay, so you know these are going to go right down here on the bottom. Right there, so when I press those, they'll lay nicer. So that's part of the chicken. And then we're going to have an O piece, which is a background color. And this is going to go in the front of our chicken. And we're going to need a little beak, which is a P. Get all my squares, make sure they're in line. This is going to be a flip and stitch. And this is going to go in the upper left-hand corner of the O piece. And I'm just going to position that right there. And then we're going to need an L. No, we're going to need an L, but it's going to be the front of the boot. It's going to actually be the boot toe. So I've got the boot toes all ready. And this is going to be a flip and stitch. And it is an L, and all the L's in this pattern are the same size, but they're in different colors. So you have to keep in mind where everything goes. So this is going to be the toe piece, and this is going to go down in the bottom right-hand corner. So this is going to be the chicken section. So I'm going to push this aside, and I'm pretty sure it's lightning out, and it might be sprinkling. I think we're in for another thunderstorm. So I'm going to get the K and the L piece here where the tail is, and I'm going to do the little flip and stitch on this. And get that sewed down. And we're going to flip that forward. and it looks good, so I'm gonna cut the back part of it off. And then I'm going to do the bottom pieces here with my little flip and stitch to the corner to give the body its rounded shape. And I got a little off. I don't know why it is in the end. I always get a little off course. There, that's better. And when I flip that forward, that should line right up. There. Okay, and then this one, I'm going to do the same. Get it right close. Stay on the line. And that one was much straighter. And now we have the bottom of our chicken body, which is, you got that rounded front and back, and we're going to trim off the back part because we don't need that extra fabric. So that's that part. And then the chicken head, we're going to do the flip and stitch in the left-hand corner. And let's check that, and that one turned out nice. We're going to cut that off. And there's that part. And now for this last piece, the O piece with the beak in the left-hand corner, I'm gonna do the flip and stitch. And that one fits nicely. Okay, and then the front of the boot toe. This is in the bottom right-hand corner. And I'm going to do the flip and stitch. And that meets up nicely. So that's the front part of our boot toe. And I'm going to cut off the excess back of these. Okay, now it should be time to fit these pieces together. So I'm going to take the two top ones and I'm going to sew these two together with the backgrounds meeting. And we're going to stitch that together. Open it up and I'm going to give it a nice little finger press. And then I'm going to sew this to the top of my chicken with the little background corners on the bottom. To go this way, so I'm going to let it go the way it wants. And there you can see we have a chicken body, and now we're just going to sew the beak and the toe to this piece, and then I'm going to give it a good pressing along with all the others. Which once we get all these sections made and I get them pressed, and then we can put the whole thing together, and we're going to have a Tilda girl. Make sure everything meets up. All right, we now have a chicken. He's pretty cute. I think I really like the black and white chickens. So I'm trying to figure out which way I want this to go. But I think I want the seam to go this way because it makes it lay better. So sometimes a seam will tell you which way it wants to lay. So you can kind of see, oh, look at that, we got a chicken. Ain't he cute? Reminds me of the barbed rocks. But speaking of chickens, we got a dozen new baby chickens, and all of my old chickens went to my sister's house. And my dad had a hen house over there, so she now has all of my old flock, and we have 12 new baby chicks that we just put in the barn here like maybe a week ago, and they're growing. We still would like to get 8 more, but we haven't found any that we wanted from Tractor Supply, which we would like to get like some Rhode Island Reds or some Leghorns, lay white eggs, but I don't know. For now we got a dozen. Okay, so now we want to get onto the sleeve and the hand and the rest of the dress and a boot. So I'm going to grab my sleeve, which my sleeve is blue for this one. And it looks, no, it's right. I thought I did something wrong there. So this one's a Q piece. I'm just gonna save that sticker because I'm gonna be making lots more sleeves. Okay, in the upper right-hand corner is R, and I don't know if R, yes, R is a background color. And I did make it right. I was questioning myself. So R is a tiny little 1-inch square. And this is gonna be a stitch and flip in the top right-hand corner of your sleeve. This is just to give your shoulder shape. So I'm just gonna make me a press line and I'll put that right in the right-hand corner, and I'm just gonna stitch that on right now because this is a little piece. One of the littlest ones anyway. You can get that stitched on. Check it. And that will give you, oops, a shoulder. And I'm just gonna cut that little bit of black back part off. Was there. Okay, so the sleeve, we got that. Now we want to get to the hand part. So the hand part is a T, and this is my hand. And in the corner of that hand, we're gonna do a flip and stitch, and that is an F, and it is a part of the dress. Down there, and I'm gonna try to make those flowers be in my corner, that little part of the dress, because I want to make use of all the flowers. And this part is gonna go down into the left-hand corner, so your rectangle is gonna stand up so it's tall, and then this little piece here, your F, is part of the dress. Is going to go in the left-hand corner of your rectangle, and we're going to do the flip and stitch. I'm going to get that right in there. And we're going to fold that down, and it lines up nicely. So there's her hand. I'm going to cut the back part of that off. Okay, so there is our hand. And this is going to be at the bottom of the sleeve. And then we're going to have a piece of the dress that goes beside it, and it is an S. So I have that piece right here. Get my letter off in there. And save that for the next dress. So now this piece is going to line right up next to this. It's just taking your pieces and putting them together. And it fits very nice. It goes right where it belongs. So that is going to go at the bottom of our sleeve. And we're going to attach that right now. And I think what I'm gonna do with this seam right here that I just sewed, I'm gonna open that up and press it open because there is some bulk in there, and I think it would lay nicer if it was pressed open. So this is where you gotta use your judgment on some of the seams that overlap to make it less bulky. So it's just easier to open that up and make it lay a little bit flatter. So when I hit it with some best press and a hot iron, it'll lay nicely. So there is our hand and our sleeve. And then below that, this hand piece, there's a little bit more of the dress. Let me make sure I got that right. It should be an M or an N. It's an M and I don't know why I put an N. All right, let me double check my size. M is 2.5. No. It is a U. I got it upside down. I thought it was a small N. Maybe I should make all my letters in capitals because I'm like, what? So it is a U, and the U piece is 2 inches by 6.5. I really do need my reading glasses. So this is a very long piece because it's going to go long it's going to go the whole length of the dress piece that we just put together. So this is going to go at the bottom of the hand, and it is a U, not an N, not an M, a U. I had it upside down. This is where we want to pay attention to details with all these little pieces. And as I was cutting, I was constantly double checking my measurements and making sure I had the right letters because it's so easy to get confused. So you really have to kind of pay attention to your pieces and your letters. And it might be wise to do capital letters. So, but if you had a W, which I think I have a W, and that, yeah, it's a long background piece, and I've already got it hanging up on my design wall. So this is okay, and then I need the boot piece. So this is all gonna meet up with the dress, the chicken, and the toe. Oh, we are halfway there. Okay, so the boot is a V. I'll just take one of these V's, and this V is gonna go right on the bottom of the dress piece. Make sure everything's nice and lined up. Okay, and then just bring that down and press it. So now what I can do, since we've got 3 of the sections together, actually this is the 4th section. So my chicken, my dress, and my head, I'm gonna go ahead and best press these because I'm going to put my head, and I might do this off camera so I don't have to keep shutting the camera on and off. So I'm gonna attach the head piece, the dress piece together, and then I'm going to put the chicken piece on the bottom. Follow your diagram. And after I get those 3 together, they should have the length of the sleeve, the dress, and the boot, and it all should fit together. So that would bring your first 4 sections together. And then the 5th section will be the rest of the hair, a background piece, and then another background piece attached to that. So I'm gonna shut the camera off for now and put this together, and then I will show you what I got when I put it all together. It's pretty simple. Okay, I have her together. So I lied. When I put the dress together, you had to put the hen on the bottom, and then you put on the sleeve, and then you put the head on last. So you can see she's really coming together. So really all we need to do is the other side of the hair and the background pieces, and we are going to have a finished Tilda. So I'm gonna get on and try to get this finished up. So I already have the hair pieces all squared. I'm just gonna set this over here, and we are going to grab another B piece. I'm gonna lay these all out because we are in the final stretch, and I want to make sure that I get the hair pieces exactly the way they need to go. So this, and this, they're going to be the opposite way of the other one, and then you're going to have a little D square, where is it? A, B, C, D, that right there in front of me. So we got a D square, no more background squares, so that's gonna go there. It's gonna be our little 4-patch. And then you're going to have the W and the X, which is behind me. So we're gonna quick sew these together. And I'm gonna sew this little 4-patch first. So I'm gonna bring this over and make sure we sew it right. Get my seams lined up nice and square. And we're going to put that in there like that. And then we're gonna bring this one over. And I'm gonna feed this one right through it too. Okay, so the top one, I'm going to have the seam going to the left. And then I'm gonna turn this bottom one and have the seam going to the right. So when I sew these together, my seams will nest and then they'll line up. And it should fit perfectly together. Just like that. And right down the center, just like that. And now when I open it up, I should have my hair pieces, and they are going the opposite way as the ones on the left side of her head. And this middle seam I just sewed, I'm going to kind of press that open because there is a lot of bulk in this little 4-patch. And if I can just kind of press that open, that will relieve. So these two seams here are going opposite, and this one's open. And you gotta remember, you got all these seams where we got this half square triangle as well. So I got this right. The corners are going that way as the other one is opposite. This little piece is gonna go on top. And then I'm gonna sew this to my W piece, which I have hanging on my wall behind me. And then we're gonna sew it onto the X, and then I'm gonna sew it onto my girl, and we're going to have a finished block. Just like that. But it seems to me like it took forever because there's so many stops and starts, and the dogs, they were a lot to contend with today as well. The in and out thing that I was getting very frustrated with. So now, do I have this right, or did I sew it wrong again? I did. I sewed it on the wrong side. Seam ripping 101. You learn a lot from me today doing this. Oh my goodness. This is what really gets me. Because I'm looking at the picture, and if I turn it, which I did, I must have turned it, and I don't even realize what I'm doing. Really, just, when I'm talking, it's just making it hard to focus. Not anybody's fault but my own. But this happens a lot, especially for piecing, and you're trying to put things together, and things need to be a certain way, and it's very easy to turn something and not realize you did it until you put it together, and then you're double checking. And of course, I probably turned it because I'm pressing that seam open, but I want to make sure. So my corners go this way, so the long ends go across, and it's the opposite way. And this is gonna go on top, right here. Okay, so this is gonna go here. So I got it on there, and I'm gonna sew it, and when I open it up, it should be right. But it's so easy to do, and I tell people all the time when they do it, I was like, oh, ask me how I know. I do it all the time. And I'm trying to teach others not to do what I do. It's all about paying attention to really what we're doing. So now my pieces are in the right direction. The hair pieces are very tricky. So I refer a lot to my diagram to make sure everything is right. So my D is in the bottom right-hand corner. My points are all down to the bottom right, and then that piece is on top. So now I've got a W up here. And this W piece is a 2.5 by 22.5 inches. So this is going to go to the bottom of this, which is going to go alongside of my Tilda, along with the X piece is going to go alongside of this. So let's get this sewed on. Just a bunch of straight seams now. All right, so that's the other side of our hair piece. And then now I want the X piece to go on the right-hand side, which I have that one already cut. So we will have a finished hen house block and a finished Tilda. And then after this, I am going to kind of go on my own and put these together, but I will run the camera while I work on the rest of them. I'm just not going to go into detail on how I put them together, but you can watch my progress as I go along. Making sure everything matches up at the top, and you might have to pull your hair pieces up just to make sure everything fits nicely, which it does. Okay. I'm going to press this out and best press it, and I'm going to sew it to the side of my Tilda, and I'm going to put it up on the wall next to my hen house, and I'll show you the finished result. Okay, my friends, here she is. I think she turned out beautiful. I'm really excited. This is going to conclude this little episode of the first Tilda and the first hen house, but I will, like I said, bring you along on the rest of them as I do my build. I probably, like I said, won't go into detail as much as I did this one, but if you have any questions, please ask. But please print off your free pattern on tildasworld.com and just cut your pattern pieces and follow along. This has been a very fun first day. I'm excited to get the rest of them done and get going. It's been also a very interesting day for me with the dogs and everything, because there's been a lot of interruptions and things, and I've tried to get this off the ground earlier and my camera wasn't cooperating, so I'm just glad that I finally got it finished and she looks great. I'm excited. I'm thinking, I don't know if I'll put a little border piece in between here, but I feel like it needs a little border piece across the top to give a little sky above the hen house roof, because I just feel like it blends a little. So I might play with that idea a little bit, I don't know. So I like to kind of throw a little something extra in there, you know, or just create something different. But I love the concept of this pattern. I love the way my girls are going to turn out with the same dress and the pattern. I love the black and white chickens. So I'm really getting excited about this one. But please leave me a comment on the quilting, because I really appreciate your thoughts on what you all think, you know, because everybody has different ideas and different ways that they see things. So I have a very open mind, and I like to know what people think, and, you know, and listen to their ideas, even if it's criticism, you know. You got to take it in stride, because that's how we learn. So stay tuned for the next episode, and if you're new, please subscribe. I would love to have you. This is the second go round of this quilt pattern for me, although I do want to do many more Tildas. This one was just a really special one to me, and I just have to recreate it. So if you are watching for the second time, thank you for joining in with me. This is really exciting. So I'm going to quit babbling. It has been a long day, and it's getting dark outside, and my lighting is not so great. So I will chat at you later and talk to you very, very soon. Have a great day. Bye.